has a sense of comedy based on bodily performance and visuals, and a cynical approach to the lifestyle that modern life imposes on us in this film. Tati criticizes systematization and mechanization. He resists persistently and with great derisiveness the rational mind and technology of modernity. He aims to represent a new way of life over against the old by the modern life, technology, and new architecture. Tata's silhouette stood out as a cold futuristic city of resemblances, even sameness was built in an objective and sterile world. It is seen the repetition and regularity from the objects in the interiors to the larger scale of the urban plan. The main locations encountered in the movie are the airport, offices, trade exhibition, apartments, restaurant, viaduct. The movie begins with the airport, whose function cannot be understood at the first sight. The interior of the space, designed in the form of a rectangular prism and covered with glass on the outside, has a sterile appearance dominated by gray tones. The building, built in the international style in a modernist manner, has cold and geometric forms. These buildings are all built in the international style are a sign that the cities of the world are starting to resemble each other more and more. The sameness and standardization are everywhere, undoubtedly, a product of the new urban paradigm. The new Paris creates a feeling of just like America in Americans who are surprised by the similarity of what they see. This similarity continues throughout the movie. The second main space encountered is the office building. The large structure whose corners are similar to each other, makes it difficult for people to find their way. The interior is also atmospherically oppressive. Long, narrow corridors mean nothing but a waste of time. Surprising spaces of modern architecture prevent creating a correct functional perception and lost the sense of direction. The main reason why Monsieur Hulot could not find his direction and be constantly lost is that he could not read the identity of the place. Monsieur Hulot is, in this film, alienated from his immediate surroundings. Uniformed spaces and cities gradually reveal a one-dimensional human being. The situation for humans is the feeling of being everywhere, but this is essentially equivalent to being nowhere. The house where Monsieur Hulot was a guest of a friend he met by chance is another main place. The house was built in a modern style like the other spaces in the movie, with a glass facade. The interior-exterior contrast is blurred, transparent, and equipped with new technology. The indoor space is in a state of being watched, surveilled from the outside. The new style has removed the privacy of the private space and turned it into a spectacle. The rising middle class turns home life into a spectacle by opening it up to public attention. While people are watching the world of images in their new lives, they have turned their own lives into images. At the same time, this situation creates a surveillance control mechanism. The government has even taken the private sphere of society under control and surveillance with new technology and new architecture. Even though modern architecture aims at functional solutions, its uselessness, how invalid the goals of constructing technically perfect and machine-like buildings are criticized throughout the long scene of restaurants. Modern urban planning taught divided cities into grillage islets and filled with multi-story prismatic towers. These geometrically shaped sharp lines undoubtedly take their basis from the rational mind of modernity. The desire of this mind to bind everything to certain standards has had a similar effect on people while uniting cities around the world. People who increasingly exhibit similar behavior patterns have encountered a new dimensions of alienation.
We see the perfectionist, ordinary, monotonous, systematic order that came with modernism in all public and private spaces. However, some encouraging social spaces exist in common areas where people interact with each other. By rewinding the criticized mediocrity, the video aims to stop it all and to create the vitality of public spaces and spheres that give hope. Although we usually see spaces open to public use, we observe an ordinary controlled situation that is not very public due to the systematic and monotony brought by modernism. Although there is no general control in some signs, the figures of police and soldier. For example, in the restaurant scene, we see security at the door. Even though we perceive this, they are not the one who have sincere control, that the people are behaving conformist as if they are already under control. We examine a more regulated public sphere indoors rather than outdoors. In fact, the use of outdoor spaces becomes a bit more public and places where people come together. In the restaurant scene, the dressing styles, status, and uniformity of the people entering are seen as important as the same buildings and Tati. While in the restaurant scene, things start to get out of the rails towards the end. So the restaurant becomes a place open to everyone. The dressing style of musicians coming from outside on a stage is unusual, and we begin to see them come in, play music, and dance. After that, despite the wreck, people initiate to organize it according to themselves. A conversation environment has occurred. They begin to come together and move away from the current situation, so a more public space and sphere emerge. Between the scenes, we see a flower store, a drugstore on the corner. Despite it's a commercial place that people behave more comfortably and come together, we see an open market. While it seems to be closer to being the public definition of today, it can be very methodical.